In a construction site, a man asks his coworker Dmitry for the special substance he's been selling lately. Dmitry takes him to a room and prepares a pink powder, only to realize he's out of needles. He searches every corner of the room until he finds one in a sink full of dirty water. Then Dmitry consumes first and quickly collapses, so his coworker takes the needle and repeats the process. In the evening, the man wakes up and notices Dmitry shaking and growling in a corner. Suddenly Dmitry turns around, revealing he has red eyes before biting the other guy. The man immediately runs out of the building, spreading Dmitry's virus all over the place. Sometime later in the mountains, Dr. Adon sends his son Miguel to spend a week with his maternal grandparents. Things have been hard since Adon's wife died, so this break is sad but necessary. At that moment Adon is visited by his neighbor Johnny, who invites him to have dinner at his house. Johnny's wife Anna apologizes for not having enough food, explaining that vermin have been damaging the crops. When Adon goes home and gets in bed, he pretends his family is back with him. Unfortunately, this memory is ruined when he remembers how sick his wife was every night because of the cancer. The next day Adon calls his wife's phone just to hear her voice on the voicemail. In the city, a man with no documentation is brought to the hospital because he was run over. On the way to the emergency room, he spits on a nurse's face. Witnesses say that this guy was bitten by another man on the street. Afterward, the nurse gets on a plane even though she can't stop coughing. Meanwhile, Dr. Lucy of the World Health Organization is watching a viral video. It shows a family who had to tie the father to the bed because he's gone crazy. The man won't stop shaking and manages to break the ropes to attack his relatives. Lucy is then called to a special meeting to analyze a report sent by a hospital in Venezuela. Apparently a patient has had some strange symptoms that don't match any known diseases. Unfortunately, the video starts glitching and ends without any more details. Lucy's boss informs her that the UN has already decided this is a level 4 emergency. At the supermarket, Adon notices that there are almost no supplies left. Suddenly the clerk pushes him to go after a thief, and Adon follows them to the street. Nearby an ambulance has crashed and witnesses are running to help. A bleeding man jumps out of the vehicle and attacks a person to feed, confirming that this new virus turns people into zombies. A man opens fire and tells the crowd not to touch the creature because it's contagious. A cop appears behind him and tells him to drop the weapon, only to be attacked by another zombie from the ambulance. At that moment a building explodes, so Adon rushes to get in his car. When a zombie tries to block him, Adon drives in reverse and manages to leave. On the way back, Adon keeps trying to call his son to no avail. He then finds Johnny carrying a catatonic Anna in his arms, saying that she started to feel sick after someone bit her. Adon immediately takes them to his office, where he examines the wound. Anna begs for help and her voice starts turning into a growl, so Adon gives her an injection that puts her to sleep. Afterward Adon tries to call his parents-in-law, but the call still won't go through. Next he uses his computer to search for information about a virus in Venezuela. He immediately finds news reports saying that the virus has reached many areas in the country and a doctor tells people to stay inside until they learn more. At that moment Johnny brings Anna to Adon's house because she still hasn't improved. 2 other neighbors also come because they're worried about Anna. Adon examines Anna again, noticing the mutated teeth and the red eyes. Suddenly Anna wakes up and tries to attack him, so the others have to hold her back. Anna bites a neighbor, who pulls away in pain. Adon takes over his place so he and Johnny try to hold Anna down. After lots of struggle, Anna falls and hits her head on the table, which knocks her out. After leaving a message on his mother-in-law's voicemail, Johnny bandages the neighbor's wound. Johnny turns on the radio but only an emergency message is played, telling people to stay inside. It also says that anyone with symptoms like fever, hallucinations, and aggressiveness must be isolated and their relatives must call 911 immediately. Soon the internet goes down. At that moment Adon gets a call from his friend Carlos, who works for a lab that was recently evacuated. Now he and his co-workers are being forced to stay in an army base outside the city. Carlos sends Adon the coordinates and asks him to join him since he needs as much help as possible. He also explains that the city is under quarantine and soldiers have orders to kill any infected person. Before he can say more, the call abruptly ends. While Adon tells his friends what he just learned, the power goes out in his house and military aircraft can be heard in the sky. The group decides to leave together to get help for Anna. Meanwhile Adon's father-in-law Angel goes to check on his neighbor. He searches every room but finds nothing, so he moves to the backyard. It turns out the neighbor is dead on a chair. It seems he's self-deleted to avoid becoming a zombie. When Angel goes home, he tells his wife Tina what he saw, unaware that Miguel can hear them. He orders her to stay inside and not to open the door to anyone. At that moment, the power goes out. Some hours later, Adon's group finds a burning car blocking the road, but they easily drive around it to keep going. A few miles later, the road is blocked again by a group of soldiers who shoot at the ground to make the car stop, announcing that nobody is allowed in this area. In the woods, a zombie horde hears the noise and starts running. Adon comes out of the car and explains he's a doctor, so the soldiers make the others come out too. Suddenly a fully transformed Anna jumps out and the soldiers immediately open fire to bring her down. They also shoot and kill the 2 neighbors in the process. Johnny wants to help his wife, but Adon pushes him to get back in the car because the horde is coming out of the forest to attack. As the duo drives away, the zombies overpower the soldiers and start eating them. Even Anna feeds on her neighbors. During the trip, Johnny keeps wondering what happened to Anna and eventually makes Adon stop the car. Johnny comes out to hit the vehicle in frustration and announces he's going back to rescue his wife. Adon tries to stop him but Johnny just yells at him and keeps walking, so Adon returns to the car and waits. After a few seconds, Johnny realizes he's being ridiculous and gets back in the car too. Meanwhile, Lucy arrives at the base and Carlos shows her patient Zero, who is the junkie from the beginning. In the morning, Johnny and Adon find absolute chaos on the road. Some cars have been abandoned, others are stuck, and people are robbing each other. Zombies are also around and running after the panicking people, who keep asking Adon for help. He ignores them as he drives off the road to escape. On TV, it's reported that the president and his ministers are leaving the country without doing anything to help. In a small town, a family hides in their house and tries to stay quiet while watching the zombies run outside their window. After several tense minutes, some zombies burst through the glass and immediately attack the parents, so Luis escapes through the back door and leaves town on a bike. On the road, Adon and Johnny are changing a tire when they see Luis drive by. Thinking he may know the way, the duo gets back in the car and follows him. Unfortunately, Luis falls off the bike and zombies start chasing him, so he desperately yells for help. Adon and Johnny open the door for him and drive away as fast as possible to leave the zombies behind. When night falls, the car runs out of gas, so the men are forced to continue on foot. In the morning they arrive in a new town, where they notice a man behind a fence. However, when he turns around, the guy reveals he's a zombie. The group keeps moving and reaches a gas station, where they find a cop dead next to his car. Suddenly two zombies jump out to attack them, so Adon and Johnny end up on the ground trying to defend themselves. Luis picks up the cop's gun and quickly kills both zombies, and the noise gets the attention of a family hiding in a hotel. The gunshots also attract more zombies, so the guys start running as fast as possible. When they run by the hotel, Jose opens the door to let them pass while his wife throws things from the roof to keep the zombies distracted. Afterward, Jose tells the group to rest for the night because in the morning they'll have to go out to search for water. Adon agrees to help but explains they can't stay because he must keep looking for his son. The next morning a plane flies over Tina's home and Miguel goes to the window to watch it. Suddenly a zombie reaches inside to capture the kid, but at that moment Adon wakes up from this nightmare. He then hears a noise and goes to investigate, only to find zombies in the corridor. They immediately come after him, so Adon runs to hide in a room. He tries to block the door but the zombie is stronger and bursts in anyway. Thankfully Adon finds a pipe and uses it to beat the zombie to death, then he uses that same pipe to lock the door. While the other zombie keeps pounding on the door, Adon hits a crumbling wall until he makes a hole big enough to sneak into the other room. When he looks at the corridor he sees a few zombies there, so he has no choice but to run as fast as possible. A chase ensues and Adon takes the stairs to the roof, where he finds some wooden planks that he uses to defend himself. One zombie is knocked out and the other is pushed off the roof. When a third zombie is about to bite him, it gets shot by Jose's daughter Cristal. Since she doesn't know where anyone else is, Cristal and Adon go downstairs to search. After seeing lots of blood in the corridor, they make it to the yard and find Jose and his wife coming out of an external room. Jose explains that he's out of ammo and that Johnny and Luis hid in a room behind the fence. He also saw a kid running away from the zombies and hiding in another one of those rooms. Adon and Jose agree to help, so they cross the fence and the women close it behind them. A zombie is waiting in the tall grass and immediately chases Adon, who runs until he reaches the door and Johnny unlocks it to let him in. Then he uses a hole to insert his blade and stab the zombie a few times. Adon discovers that Luis broke his leg, so he makes him bite his shirt while he puts the bone back in place and bandages the injury. Meanwhile, Jose rescues the kid and they try to return to the fence, but another zombie sees them and comes after them. They immediately run back into the room and close the door, however the zombie pounds on it until it manages to break through and kills them both. Jose's wife desperately runs to help her husband only to end up being attacked by a zombie too. Cristal considers helping her family, but another zombie begins chasing her. She runs to the nearest window and climbs into the room, then she escapes through a back door and returns to the fence to close it again. When the guys finally come out, Cristal assures them she's fine. Unfortunately, a zombie hears her and bites her shoulder. Cristal starts running and hides in the nearest room, where she has a breakdown. The zombies burst through the windows and surround her to kill her. The guys end up returning to their room and spend the night there. In the morning, Adon and Johnny help Luis move and they reach the gas station. Adon starts taking gas from a random car, however he has to hide under the vehicle when he hears bikes nearby. A gang approaches the station and takes a quick look, but since they don't see anything they leave. Then the guys return to their car and fill up the tank so they can finally leave as well. In the meantime, Tina waits for Angel, who left to get groceries. As soon as she sees he's back she rushes to open the door, but he tells her not to do it because he's been bitten. Suddenly he starts coughing and he collapses, so a desperate Tina opens the door to check on him. In the middle of the night, Adon realizes they're lost, so he stops the car and goes exploring to find clues about their location. At that moment the zombies see the car and immediately surround it, so Johnny hits one with the door and keeps the others at bay while Luis tries to start the engine. Adon comes running back and opens fire, but he only has one bullet left and it misses. The zombies reach through the window to grab Luis and quickly bite him. Since the car is no longer an option, Johnny and Adan escape into the woods and the zombies come after them. After running for a while, they reach an open area where some lights suddenly turn on and the zombies get shot down. It turns out the duo has made it to the base and they're now surrounded by soldiers, so Adan tells them he's Carlos' friend. The captain still makes them undress to confirm they weren't bitten before letting them pass. After they both get disinfected, they notice a big fire on the field and Carlos explains they're burning all the zombie bodies to stop the virus from spreading. Then Carlos introduces Adan to Lucy, who is watching the news about the riots that are happening all over the country. Carlos tells her that Adan is an expert who could help them with the research, but Adan says he can't stay because he wants to find his son. A frustrated Carlos thinks that they're too close to ground zero, so going out is the equivalent of death. Lucy shows Adan the virus on the microscope and explains it's a mutation of rabies. Adan looks at patient Zero's file and notices he consumed something before becoming a zombie. He theorizes that this man already had rabies and taking that substance caused the mutation. While the team starts running tests to confirm that theory, Adan notices that all the zombie samples are adults and realizes he hasn't seen a single infected kid. Suddenly a zombie horde bursts into the camp, so the soldiers open fire. However, no matter how many creatures they kill, more and more zombies keep coming. The soldiers get scared and start running away, leaving the captain alone to defend the base. When a zombie follows a scientist to a tent, it ends up exploding. Johnny runs to reunite with Adan and the doctors and asks for a gun, but the soldiers refuse to arm a civilian even in an emergency. The captain and two soldiers guide the group through the base to escape, although Adan and Johnny freeze when they discover that one of the zombies is Luis. The only reason why he doesn't attack is his broken leg. As the small group escapes into the woods, they hear all the screaming behind them. The next morning they finally reach the road. When a soldier finds a zombie, he quickly kills it with a shot, but he still gets bitten. Since he doesn't want to endanger anyone, he immediately drops his things and runs away. The group discusses what to do and Adan asks Lucy to call her organization for help, however she explains that nobody will come because the borders are closed. Carlos reveals he already knew this and his family was evacuated with other people a week ago, so they're alone in this. He wants to go to the scientific institute to work on a cure, but the captain wants to go to another base. While they argue, Johnny takes the bitten soldier's gun. The argument escalates and the captain gets so angry that he attacks Carlos, breaking his hand. Johnny points the gun at him and a soldier threatens him in return. Carlos says that without a cure there won't be anybody to protect, and Adan asks the captain if he has a family. The captain finally pulls back and agrees to go with the institute. Adan still wants to find his son though, so he tells Johnny to protect the group and takes a gun before leaving alone. Moments later Adan walks through an abandoned town and freezes when he sees a van approaching him. A guy and his mother come out to offer some water, but he turns them down. After calling him ungrateful, the guy grabs his gun from the van. A terrified Adan shoots first, easily killing the man. The mother cries for her son and grabs the gun to get revenge, but Adan shoots her first too. Then Adan takes their weapons and searches the van for the water, only to hear a noise. When he checks the back of the vehicle, he discovers the real owners tied up. He quickly frees them and tries to leave alone, but the couple begs him until he agrees to work together. The van allows them to leave town very fast, but eventually they have to stop because the woman feels sick. After she throws up, Adan examines her, but thankfully she's not infected. The woman then confesses she's pregnant. While Adan is distracted, two zombies manage to jump on the couple from behind and bite them. Adan opens fire too late and has no choice but to kill them all. Then he gets in the van but it won't start. Since more zombies are coming, he runs to hide in the woods. Meanwhile the car with Johnny's group breaks down, so they have to look for another one. Suddenly they see two running horses and realize they're escaping from zombies, so they start running too. The horde chases them out of town, where the team finds the road blocked by a fence. All their weapons are out of ammo, so the captain tells the others to run while he acts as bait. When the zombies surround him and start eating him, the captain activates a grenade to blow them all up. This gives Johnny and the doctors time to reach the institute, but the front door is locked. Carlos trips on the stairs and a zombie immediately jumps on him to kill him. A guard shows up at the door and says he can't let anyone pass, so Lucy explains she's with the World Health Organization. When a horde appears behind them, the guard finally lets them in. Moments later, Adan finally reaches his in-laws' house. When he pounds on the door, a zombified Angel appears on the other side and breaks the glass to try to attack him. Adan has a breakdown and has to gather all his strength to shoot Angel to death. After crying his heart out, Adan enters the house and finds Tina's body, so he cries some more. Then he searches the different rooms and has to kick down a locked door. Inside he finally finds Miguel, who unfortunately was bitten yesterday. Adan promises it'll be fine and takes him away in his grandparents' car. In the evening, they reach a road outside the city and a woman approaches them to ask for help. As soon as Adan stops the car, the bodies on the ground stand up, revealing they're normal humans and this is a trap. The woman notices that Miguel is infected and opens fire, but she only hits Adan. He collapses while two other women grab Miguel. As he passes out, he hears a car and someone saying his name. Sometime later, Adan wakes up in a hospital. It turns out that the scientists have discovered that kids younger than 10 years old are immune to the virus, so they've used Miguel's blood to create a cure. It's now being distributed around the country and society is slowly coming back together, although they still have to deal with the awful government. Remembering that he promised his wife they'd travel together someday, Adon takes Miguel to the airport and they board a plane. Many survivors are leaving on foot, but other countries are still afraid of the infection and aren't always welcoming to immigrants. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.